I'm in this small town called Pomarku, and I've got a true story for you. It's another classic one. So my wife is reading the newspaper online, or it's a story from the Helsingin Sanomat, which is probably Finland's equivalent of the Guardian. And this story is about how people have been complaining in Helsinki. Finns have been complaining because when they go to some restaurants, they can't get service in Finnish. Yeah, so this is in Finland. The language of Finland is Finnish. Swedish is the second language, and Finns are unable to get service in their own country in their own language. Now, the story isn't actually about that. The story is about how it's racist for Finns to complain about the fact that they're unable to get service in Finnish, their own language, inside Finland, in the capital of Finland, in Helsinki, in a restaurant. Ridiculous. This, of course, is a nonsense. I think it's, probably sort of ethnic restaurants maybe, but there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever. For me as a foreigner living here, I just view it as being completely disrespectful. Like, it's not hard to learn a few words of somebody else's language, particularly if you've set up a business and you're making profit by serving people in that country food. So, moi, tervetuloa, mitä haluaisit? So for me, there's something else going on here, and that something else is just people have moved to a country and they have no respect for it whatsoever. They can't even be bothered to learn a few words of their language. And for the Helsingin Sanomat to say that it's racist for people to complain that they can't get service in a Finnish restaurant in Finnish is a joke. It's a psyop. For a Brit, this just sounds ridiculous. Could you imagine a situation where you went to a restaurant in the UK and people couldn't speak English, and if you complained about that, you were considered to be racist? This is exactly what's going on now in Finland. What's good is that certainly in the comments of this newspaper article is that Finns weren't having it. They were calling this out. In Finland, the second language is Swedish. It's the second official language because there's always been some Swedes living in Finland, and according to the law, you can actually demand service in Swedish, but it seems to be that Finns are unable to demand service in their own language, Finnish, in Finland, which is just completely. So you might think, well, is this a big deal? I think it is a big deal, and I think the globalists have been trying to push for English to be established as a global language, and that's definitely true here in Finland. They're definitely pushing very, very hard for that, and I hope that Finns are going to resist it. I'm here today, as I say, in this place called Pomarku, and like all towns, even small villages, there are war memorials for people who gave their lives fighting for Finnish independence. In this case, this is for fighting for Finland against Russia in World War II. Russia invaded Finland in 1939 in the so-called Winter War. It's not really a surprise that language is used to express your thoughts. So, of course, the structure of a language and the words that you use, it's obviously linked to your culture. Before that, Finland was under Swedish occupation, and the Finns actually had to fight or struggle for the right to establish their own language as the official language of the country that they were living in. And what kind of saddens me is that, okay, it's only a small minority of morons in Helsinki who are prepared to give all of that up without a fight, and visit restaurants and pay with their own money to get service in English. I presume that that's the language that they're using. In fact, I'm sure it is. And it's just, from my point of view, it's just not acceptable. It's completely disrespectful for these guys. These guys fought for Finland, and these kind of woke Helsinki people are just basically giving up their language and their culture for nothing. These people, they laid down their lives for Finland, and the wokesters are just giving it away for nothing, without a fight, not a struggle. On the altar of political correctness, that we can't complain about not being able to be served in our own language in our own country's capital city. It's just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So that's the story of the day, and I really hope that there's lots and lots of Finns out there who resist this pushback, because I think a country's language is inextricably linked to its culture. The language that a country uses, it obviously impacts on that country's collective psyche. The way that people express themselves is linked to the country's culture, obviously. So I really hope that Finns continue to push back against this globalist nonsense, because they definitely want to establish English as the global language. And that's, in the past, Brits have probably seen that as thinking, well, that's quite nice and easy for us. We don't need to learn any languages when we go abroad. But, the downside of it is that you lose some of the world's richness. So conclusions then, what's to be done about it? Well, for people living in Finland, keep on vocally complaining about stuff like this. Certainly don't be a turkey that votes for Christmas, and actually use your own money to go and visit restaurants where you can't even get service in your own language. That's ridiculously stupid to do that. And just value your own culture, and also, if you go and visit other countries, respect the culture that you've come to visit, including learning some of the language. So at least when you go into a shop or something, you can say "Hey, moi." So that's all I want to say from this place called Pomarku. It's just a typical Finnish village or town, small town. So God bless.